Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook with Kooima Kooima Varilek. The livestock futures leaning mostly lower here this morning, although coming off lows in the cattle market. While we're mixed over in the grain trade, feed grains higher, soybeans lower. Well, Brad, let's start off talking about the cattle market. We had two up days, and then today we kind of start off pretty disappointing.
You said it for sure. Thanks for having me on, Michelle. One of the maybe oversimplified, but sometimes I think we overthink some of this stuff. For me, especially when you get into a long-term trend like this cattle thing has been in, if you could get 3 days against the trend, in other words, if you could pull off 3 up days, and we've had 2 really good days. I mean, up $3 Friday, up $2 yesterday. If we could pull off a third day higher, and I haven't totally given up on the notion that it still might not, although we're coming back pretty good now, only 40 lower. If you could pull off a third day, I think a couple of things here. 168.15 is halfway back of this last leg down. 168.60 downtrend line area. You're hearing me talk about technicals more than fundamentals for a second, because I'm looking for something that'll stop this stupid fund selling and algorithm and HFT, that have been, in my word, be exploiting the market here to the downside. If we can get the technicals to turn enough to see some short covering from that crowd, that would be a first step. And if that happens, the tail wags the dog. You'll see the cash market firm back up as well. So, I think we need some kind of a technical story here to get us going. I wish I was more confident that it was going to happen. Frankly, I worry a little bit here as we approach year end. Might have just a real lack of inspiration here on the part of the traders. And we do have some fundamental issues, right? Like record average weights and no weather. So we'll see what's moving forward. But today has a chance to be kind of an exciting day. Right now, it's going to take a bit of a lot better trade than we're seeing right now, Michelle.
Yeah, and of course that was my fear here, 2 up days, and whether the funds would come in here and use that strength to sell on. And they are still long in this market, according to the Commitment of Traders report, 27,000 contracts. I thought they'd be out by now.
I thought they'd be short by now. Are you kidding?
Yeah, no.
And I think some of the trend following funds are, you're going to have part of the fund community that are index funds have to be long. So, I mean, some of this is sort of explainable, but yeah, to me, it is very difficult to understand. If we're going to wait for the last one to get out here, again, some of that information is time sensitive. We hear about it after it's done, about 5 days afterwards, so some of that information is dated. Maybe more of them have sold it by now. I don't have an explanation of what any trend following fund that's still long. They've got more guts than I do.
The funds are actually short in the feeder market, though, now, and we've had, a $60 break from the contract high to the contract low in January. Have you ever seen that?
Never. And never seen any move like that, Michelle, without some moniker to hang on it, like Mad Cow, like September 11, like COVID, a fire, just to have this thing just flip and fall apart. Now, I know I'm unpopular when I say that, do I think that the market got very high, so it got very volatile? And do I think LRP caused the break? Absolutely not. Do I think it was part of the acceleration and the extension of and making it worse? Yes. So, some of that whole backstory that's going on there, it'll be interesting to see that play out. I will be surprised if there isn't some further telling of that story here later on.
Meanwhile, you mentioned that the leverage has shifted over to the packer, but also they're starting to see some better margin. And so Saturday kills, you tell me, are picking up.
Yeah, let's have a little bit of good news here, right? Packer's got his margin back. I know a couple of majors that have added 4 or 5 Saturdays in a row here. If we're going to have to kill our way through this, the bulge in the weight, that's the way to do it. Fortunately, I think, the one thing that is still consistent in our marketplace is fear and greed. And greed, will no different than a feeder, right? I mean, if he's making a lot of money, he's going to try to feed more of them. And if the packer's making some money, he's going to try, hopefully, to kill more of them. So I kind of cringe a little bit when I hear analysts talk about, well, it's the demand. It's the demand. I mean, I don't see it that way. I think export demand, yes, we've imported more beef. I understand that. And yet I think, if you look at beef, it's a function of how high can you sell how much product. And it would appear to me like it for sure domestically that there doesn't seem to be much of a blink here yet in terms of a consumer that wants to eat something that's really, really good.
Yeah, and year to date, slaughter is still almost 5% below a year ago. How much does that offset these higher weights that we've talked about?
Well, in terms of beef production in total, we're still looking at a little bit more, maybe than, well, it depends on which week you look at. It's not the drama that you would have thought, probably with the higher weights, but yes, 4.7% year to date. It's the 12th of December. You know, this again, this story of well, there's just more cattle, Brad. It's no wonder the market broke. There's more cattle. Look at the cattle and feed report. Whoa. There's no more cattle fat today. Yes, they put some more cattle on feed. Yes, they're going to be fat someplace way out there. Yeah, a lot of them are heifers and a lot of them are light cattle that guys moved early because they love the price. I don't blame them, for having big placements. If I was a seller of calves in October and November, so we moved them early. There's more heifers on feed than I anticipated because I thought we would start to roll that cycle here of expansion. They chose not to. So you're still got this chasing this good thing down the road. But to say that there's suddenly this burdensome, overwhelming supply of cattle is not accurate in my opinion.
Yeah. And the hog market, we don't have a lot of good news fundamentally over there either. We talk about weights and they've been creeping up over on that side of the ledger, and we just cannot get this cash market to catch.
No, I wished I had something hopeful here to tell you on the hog thing. I don't know, the cure for low prices is low prices. How's that for a lame statement? So where we sit here, we are kind of in the hotbed of hog production, finished production. Sioux County is #1 county, I think, in the world for that, where we sit here. And, the stories we hear back from some of these facilities is that they're even having a difficult time getting hogs scheduled on a timely basis. Weights already are huge, and that's not going to get any better if we can't get them dead on time. So, there's a fair amount of distress out here in the fundamental picture of the hog thing. So far, export demand's actually been pretty good, and it has to be really good. That's the trouble, when you're producing this much pork. So I'm still a Sal Rally's guy on the hogs. I'm afraid maybe we can get through December. We can get some kind of a seasonal bounce here, but I'm not encouraged.
Yeah. And corn and soybeans flipping their direction from yesterday with corn a little higher, soybeans lower. Of course, corn is kind of following the wheat market, but we're still in a pretty sideways trading range there, aren't we?
I wish I had something really exciting to talk about there, but yeah, sideways, Michelle, has been the notion, I guess, from a bigger picture, I guess, on the corn thing. First of all, it seems like maybe we've removed at least a bit of the monkey on our back, which is the wheat.
Right.
Got a little bit of business to China, maybe a little, again, Russia, Ukraine news that may or may not be supportive, but it seems like a little pressure came off of here. I don't know if it's enough to move us higher. I don't think the corn has to get any lower. I do think demand is going to pick up a lot when you're talking about $4.50 corn, and some areas where it's even less than that. Beans, enough risk here in the weather in South America that I guess if I was to be a trader, I'd rather buy it than sell it just because of the weather risk. But again, the market is in the same place as it's been for a long time.
Yeah, and we did have a little export business this morning, but that market is kind of up or got up into some chart resistance. So we need more bullish news to get us through those areas, right?
Right. Yeah, if we could, let's get through yesterday's highs on January beans and stay there. I think that'd be a good first step. Then you can maybe take a run back at that $14 level.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Brad Kooima with Kooima Kooima Varilek. That is Markets Now.